نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ما يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So we'll continue our lesson inshallah ta'ala, and we've been discussing the book Bulugu Maraam by Ahadeeth ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah, and we've been discussing in particular Kitab al-Salat. So discussing concerning Kitab al-Salat, and in Kitab al-Salat you can somewhat discuss various masahil of those things that we have covered concerning some of the ahkam relating to the adhan wal iqama. Then we went to the chapter regarding Sifat al-Salat. So we're discussing concerning those matters concerning Sifat al-Salat based upon what has been mentioned. And the last lesson that we had, we're discussing concerning concerning of the things concerning. So we have reached up to the point regarding Tashahhud. So regarding concerning how the person to sit in Tashahhud and certain actions that are particular to Tashahhud. So we discussed based upon the hadith that the author Rahimullah ibn Hajar that he mentioned regarding in the Tashahhud, regarding how the hands are to be positioned or placed. So we discussed concerning the matter regarding the hands, how they are placed. And different way concerning that, and also in the last tashahhud in particular, regarding concerning that moving of the, or in the tashahhud regarding whether the person is to move the finger or not. So mentioned regarding al-ishara, regarding that is to be done based upon the hadith. Then some of the hadith that we mentioned that also added regarding tahriq, regarding moving of the finger. So we discussed concerning that matter regarding the hadith that discusses this, that there's some discussion about those particular hadith. So regarding the hadith, I will mention concerning regarding that some of the narrators or particular narrators that they mentioned concerning tahriq compared to other narrators that mentioning the movement of the finger. So I mentioned concerning Zahida ibn Qudama, remember that? Regarding that, he's the only one who mentioned regarding movement of the finger, where everyone else didn't say the same. So the ulama of hadith they discussed that hadith to be accepted, or that particular additional information to be accepted or not. And the conclusion, so I mentioned that a discussion between the ulama regarding that, Allahu A'lam, regarding of maybe more correct are those who say that regarding tahriq, move the finger, is not authentic. So it to be classed as hadith shadh, or lafz shadh, that particular hadith with that particular ziyada from that person, it is something which is shadh, which is something shadh. Yeah, various definitions regarding what is shadh, as mentioned by Imam Shafi and others, but in general mention that shadh, that in this case concerning that a thiqa, a person thiqa, or they say maqbula, according to Ibn Hajar, yukhalif man wa awthaq minhu, that he disagree with someone who is more reliable than he is. So the person himself on his own is reliable, but in this particular case he is contradicting others who are equally or more reliable. So we mentioned that he's going against, even himself is reliable, but he's going in contrary to all the over 10 other people who are similarly reliable or equally reliable. So that's concerned that particular matter that we discussed in that particular matter. So we discussed that of those concerning tashahhud, where the person to place his eyes and other masahil that relates to that particular discussion. So based upon that, we now move to the next of the hadith that the author rahimahullah mentions, who is Ibn Hajar rahimahullah.
Narrated Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam looked at us and said, when one of you is sitting in prayer, he should say, At-tahiyyatu lillahi was-salawatu wat-tayyibat, Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi as-salihin, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Then he may choose any supplication which pleases him most and recite it. Agreed upon, and this wording is from Al-Bukhari.
And what comes then after? Read after. للنساء.
In the narration of Nasa'i, we used to say before Tashahhud, it become obligatory on us. And in the narration of Ahmad, the Prophet ﷺ taught him at Tashahhud and ordered him to teach it to the people. And in Muslim narration from Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anh, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to teach us at Tashahhud. All services expressed by words increase in good, act of worship and all good things are due to Allah till the end.
أيوة. طيب بسم الله. So the author rahimahullah, Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, then he mentioned these ahadith pertain to a matter relating to the salat. And again, regarding of those things to be said close to the end of the salat, and this concerning a tashahhud. So what are those things to be said in the tashahhud? So he mentioned regarding what's referred to as at-tahiyyat. So regarding at-tahiyyat, in the tashahhud, the position of tashahhud, in the sitting position, that of the things to be said also is regarding this particular supplication. So regarding concerning saying supplication upon the Prophet ﷺ, and also the believers and the likes. So from this concern, this particular masala, they discuss concerning most of the hadith that are mentioned here, that are either hadith that are in Bukhari and Muslim. Also mentioned a narration by Nasa'i, and that narration concerning Nasa'i, that I mentioned, كُنَّا نَقُولُ قَبْلَ أَنْ يُفْرِدْ عَلَيْنَا التَّشَهُدْ. So I mentioned also that narration, that particular part regarding Nasa'i, where he mentioned كُنَّا نَقُولُ, that we used to say قَبْلَ أَنْ يَفْرِدْ عَلَيْنَا التَّشَهُدْ. Some of the ulama, they owe that part to be shadh. So some discussion regarding the authenticity of that particular narration. But the general concern, the basis of there is there regarding what is to be said. But regarding the narration of Nasai, we mentioned that, this was أنه يفرض علينا التشهد. Regarding that, we used to say this before the tashahhud became compulsory upon us. There's some discussion regarding that particular statement. But overall, there's a basis based upon the hadith itself regarding tashahhud or at-tahiyyat, that it is narrated in Bukhari and Muslim. And also Imam Bukhari, he mentioned that also you have the difference concerning certain wording may be different. So you have at-tahiyyat in the tashahhud, but the main thing that is discussed here regarding that you find various wordings regarding how it is to be said. How it's to be said, you have various narrations. So based upon this, they discuss concerning of those masahil, or those matters that relate to this particular discussion, that they mention regarding this, of those masahil that is discussed concerning that tashahhud al-awwal, regarding tashahhud al-awwal, regarding what is to be concerning the hukum. So the hukum regarding in the sitting position concerning tashahhud. So some salat may consist of either 1 or 2 tashahhud. So we're discussing concerning, as for the first one, as those salat that consist of 2 tashahhud. So what's the hukum regarding on saying these 2 tashahhud, the first and the second? So as for the first one, the first tashahhud, the ulama, so for example, a salat consists of Maghrib, Isha, Asr, Dhuhr, consists of 2 tashahhud. So as for the first one, the ulama discuss separate regarding each of them have separate rulings. So each of the 2 tashahhud, that they have separate rulings. So as for the first one, is ruling ذهب الجمهور إلى أنه مستحب, that the first tashahhud, majority of the ulama is of the view that it is something which is mustahab. It is something which is the ruling that is mustahab. And they use the dalil that is something which is mustahab, as mentioned before, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Buhayna, where the Prophet concerning that, and the hadith concerning that, they use the hadith that we covered before, and also the Prophet ﷺ, that also, that as to be discussed, that in cases that, in one case that he missed it and he stand up without mention it, so he forgot and stand up, so they mention it is something which is something of, so they mention that show that because he missed it, that is something that wajib or arkan of the salah. If it was, then you have returned back and missing it, so he made sujood al-sahu, so proving that it is not something which is of the wajibat of the salat, or they said arkan of the salat. But their view is that it is something which is mustahab to be done, not wajib, and that's jumhur of the ulama.
So if you miss it, say for example, and so you don't have to do sujood al-sahu.
That's a different, we'll come back to that. They just use the agenda to prove that it's not, that as we discussed, there's something, sujood al-sahu is to be done, and I said, I mentioned that because if it was something wajib, or something which is arkan, it requires more than sujood al-sahu to make up. With me? I'm saying if you're with,
Yes,
but
I'm
you
with you,
understand?
I'm with you, yeah.
So,
You have to be
sujood
interpreted,
sahu,
yeah.
you understand? They said, I think that we discussed that concerning the acts of salat. They're on different levels. Those we mention as the arkan of the salat, wajibat of salat, the sunnah of the salat, the musta'an and the likes. So they mentioned that certain acts, just doing sujood sahu is not enough, as we mentioned before. Naam. So the fact that he did sujood sahu for this, then showed that something which is is not of the arkan of the salat, but something which is mustahab to be done. That's concerning their view that they mention. The second view is concerning the view taken by Imam Al-Thawri, Ahmed, Ishaq, and Abu Thawr, also Dawood Al-Zahiri. So generally concerning Ahmed and also Dawood Al-Zahiri. Of the more common names, Ishaq ibn Rahuya also, but their view that it is something which is wajib. So they take it to a different, they take it to they hold it to be higher than that of mustahab, which is they hold it to be wajib. And that's why sujood sahu is required, because it is wajib. So if you missed it, then sujood sahu is required because you missed something which is wajib. Nam, according to this view. But if it was not, but it's not to the level of being an arkan, according to them, but it's above that of mustahab. As for them, mustahab, this is the second view for them, mustahab acts doesn't necessarily require sujood sahu. Nam, so actually this is what you call class as sunnah in the salat, or mustahab in the salat. It requires more, in some of the ulama, it doesn't require sujood sahu. The thing that requires for the person to perform sujood sahu, the extra prostration after the salat, is in a case where the person missed a wajibat after the salat, not a arkan that require to do the entire act again. And if you miss a sunnah mustahab act, then it can, we said, use the word, doesn't require, necessitate sujood as-sahu. But what required sujood as-sahu is missing a wajib act of the salah. And I mentioned the Prophet ﷺ that showed his salawat, that he prayed all those years, something which is mustahab only. They would have found cases where he would have missed it just to show it is not wajib. But in this case, there's no account that he intentionally missed it. Naam. So continuously, Imam Islam do it. They show that also there's something which is an important act of the salat. But this view also hold that if the person was to tarku amdan batalat salatu, if the person was intentionally misses this tashahhud al-awwal, then his salat is invalid. But it is if it was missed, or it was missed by out of sahu, out of forgetfulness, then he makes up for it by doing sujood as-sahu. That's concerning this particular view.
So I've seen some brothers praying Salatul Witr with 3 rak'ah with 1 Tashahhud. Is that valid?
Hey, witr can be done different ways, so that's one of the ways that it can be done. Aywa. So witr usually comes with some separate ahkam that relates to Salatul Witr, regarding how it can be done. So you have different ways in which witr can be done. That's one of the ways. So that's concerning the first tashahhud. Allahu alam, the mention concerning the author here in this book, you find that our explanation here, that is more inclined that to the first view, that is something which is mustahab, meaning the first tashahhud. Now, the Hanabila, even of contemporary times, concerning Al-Hijaz, they say Mamlaka, that were nudged, are more inclined that it is of the wajibat after the salat. The Hanabila of contemporary, they are more of the wajibat. Concerning tashahhud al-awwal is of the wajibat after the salat. And I mentioned concerning the Prophet when he missed it, he did sujood as-sahu. If something was just so they can somewhat so that they are more inclined towards that particular view. So that's concerning the first tashahhud. As for the second masala, tashahhud al-akhira. So the second tashahhud, the last tashahhud. And the last they mentioned concerning akhir, that concerning if the salah consists of only 2 rakat, then it only consists of only rak'atayn. If a salat consists of only rak'atayn, then the last one will be the one. This one will be the last one. Nam. So this one will be the last one. The person then will be making taslim after. Nam, making the taslim after. Then as for this particular tashahhud, ذهب كثير من العلماء إلى أن تشهد الأخير من أركان الصلاة. That majority of the ulama is of the view that this last tashahhud, it is something which it is viewed as one of the arkan of the salat. So it's of one of the arkan act, is classed as one of the arkan of the salah. And that's the view of Hasan al-Basri, Imam al-Shafi, Ahmed, Dawood, and also Hukia and Malik, and also a narration that attributed Imam Malik. And after the thing that they use concerning the proof that is something which is arkan, they use concerning what is mentioned by An-Nasa'i, كُنَّا نَقُولْ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَفْرُدْ, that we used to say before it became compulsory upon us. Meaning tashahhud. Even though said that narration is under some discussion. Even that narration is under some discussion, but they can somewhat then you find others, and they use those Ahadeeth in this particular part regarding concerning that Islam said that the Prophet Islam said in Salah concerning إِذَا صَلَّ أَحَدُكُمْ فَلْيَقُلْ, that if any of you pray, then you should say. So instead of فَلْيَقُلْ, they say فِعْلَ أَمْرٍ. He's commanded the people to do this. Now by way after giving them instruction regarding what to be said regarding tashahhud. So he's kind of somewhat, as I mentioned, التفت علينا, the Prophet Islam, he looked to us. They mentioned he was in Salat. So after Salat, kind of somewhat turned to the people, then started to give them some type of instruction regarding things to be said in the Salat. And of these things he mentioned, إِذَا صَلَّ أَحَدُكُمْ, if any of you were to pray, فَلْيَقُلْ, then you should say, and he kind of somewhat then started to teach them the things to be said. So I mentioned that this indicates that it's something which is wajib. So tashahhud, akhira, is something which is wajib to be said. Then you find some of the ulama, they all that is something, meaning concerns the arkan of the salat, that if the person was to miss this last tashahhud in the salat, his salat is invalid. So the person by chance in that position and quickly said the salam, then you have to get up and repeat it, the salat, because he missed that particular act of the tashahhud. That's the first view. The second view, it mentioned of some of the ulama, that it is something which is mustahab. It is something which is mustahab to be said. Minhum An-Nakhai, Ibrahim An-Nakhai, and what is more famous concerning Imam Malik, and also narration Imam Ahmed. So those are ulama, that is something which is mustahab to be said. And a third view, that is something which is wajib. So they put it as wajib, tubtil as-salat bitarku amdan, that a person's salat is invalid if it was missed intentionally. But it is something which is of the wajib, and if it was missed, then sujood as-sahu is to be said. Sujood as-sahu is to be said if missed. And that's another narration, Imam Ahmed. So another narration regarding this third view. So we have three views. Those is an arkan, those it is mustahab, and the third view is this wajib. So you have those three views regarding this particular matter. And Ahmed rahimahullah, that is of our narration going back to him regarding all three views. Narration going back to him on all three views.
If you sat in the tashahhud and you didn't say this, but you done other supplication, is that invalidated as well?
According to this, yeah.
According to the opinion.
Yeah, according to this opinion, that all those things to be said, so a series of things to be said.
Yeah.
You understand? So some of them are on different levels and degree. But regarding this particular one, at-tahiyyat, they ordered to be a part of the tashahhud, to be of that discussion. You understand? You have the first and the second. You have the first and the second. More emphasis is placed on the second or the last one compared to the first. the author here, so after the discussion, so you have those three aqwal. The author here hold concerning that it is something which is the third view. The author here, one of the Mashaykh from Yemen, that he holds concerning that the third view, which is what? It is wajib to be the more correct view regarding this.
Is that for the first or second? Second.
He holds that the third, what was it? Qawl akhira was sawab. The third view to be, that's this, what? Wajib. He holds that view to be the more correct view. So you have that discussion regarding the tashahhud and this particular part of the tashahhud. As for concerning tashahhud in this case, concerning at-tahiyyat from that part of the tashahhud. Then a discussion they have next is regarding, so that's concerning the hukum regarding that part of the tashahhud. What's the ruling regarding it? The next masala that they discuss, the third masala regarding this particular discussion, those Ahadeeth, regarding concerning regarding that all those tahiyyat that I mentioned that comes in various wording, they're all concerning a discussion regarding the general view is that anyone that is authentic going back to the Prophet of Islam, it can be used. So all the different types or different sigha, all the different type of wordings of the tashahhud regarding at-tahiyyat aspect of it, all that have been narrated that is authentic can be used. I have various ones as we mentioned or as we read. So you can use this one or that one. As long as it's authentic, it is valid to be used. The difference between ulama is which one is afdal. So regarding all those ones that are authentic, then a discussion regarding which of them is the afdal, the better one to be said. That's the next discussion regarding, as for after the concerned person use anyone that is valid. The general thing, anyone which is valid can be used and said in the salat. Or something a person use this one and sometimes use this one, but the person can use any of the ones that are the one they mentioned here. First concern at-tahiyyatu lillah wa salatu wa tayyibat. Is that the one that is more common? That's maybe the one that is more commonly used. But the fact that all of those ones mentioned at-tahiyyat, al-mubarakat, al-salawat, al-tayyibat, if they're authentic, that one also can be used, but have a different al-mubarakat is added to it. But all of those ones that are authentic can be used. And this one also is in Sahih Muslim, and the one before in Bukhari and Muslim. So some people might give precedent based upon the ones that are in Bukhari and Muslim agreed upon, they have a higher level because they are agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim. Compared to the one that may be only in Muslim or Bukhari. So based upon, you said no, based upon level of authenticity, you give precedent to one based up over another based upon authenticity. So what is the higher level of authenticity? Bukhari and Muslim agreed upon. Then only Bukhari narrated, then only Muslim. And they go down that line. But the person in general can use any of them. Aywa.
Is there any authentic hadiths that have been abrogated? And if they have, how would we know that they have?
Said that the rule of abrogation, that says the rule of abrogation applies concerning for something to be deemed to abrogate. Of the general rule is that one, you have a hadith, that one have to be authentic, either of a level of being sahih or hasan, that seems from what is apparent to be contradicting another hadith on the same topic. With me? Yeah. So for abrogation to apply, so is two or more hadiths or set of hadiths that discussing one particular matter. One is saying doing this and the other one saying opposite. Right? But it's an all of them are authentic. So abrogation applies to a set of hadiths that seem to be what is, I use the word apparent, to be conflicting with each other. And saying completely contrary thing that cannot be combined together. Then they go to the approach to use abrogation with certain condition. That one, everything is authentic. Second, that you know which one precedes the other. Or before that you cannot combine them together. You can't use all them together. Right? Or some seem to be conflicting with the other.
I asked because the Atayat, there's one that says Assalamu alaikum ayyuhan nabiyyu, and there's another one that says we stop saying that and we say
That's the next matter we need to discuss that matter. That's all?
It's
Time for salat? Okay, so the main thing that we stop here for salat, so this particular discussion regarding that, the hukum of the tashahhud meaning at-tayyat, and what else we discuss, and regarding that, it can be the first and the second, and also the various wording that are authentic, then all of them can be used. The discussion about it kind of somewhat highlighted to be discussed soon, inshallah, after salat. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن سار سبيله إلى يوم الدين وبعد. So continue concerning our discussion of the Ahadeeth that we mentioned regarding Tashahhud, which is at-tayyat. So we discussed those masahil that we mentioned before. So leading on to the next masala is regarding concerning, as we mentioned, the Tashahhud, a matter that's on a discussion regarding certain things to be regarding the part I mentioned, Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi. So part of the at-tayyat is this is to be said or something else is to be said. And this is based upon the hadith, this is based on discussion where some of the ulama have taken, so you have the hadith, most of the hadith mentioned concerning Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi. Then some have mentioned regarding some athar of some of the hadith concerning Assalamu ala nabi. So which is to be said, both or one, or did one abrogate the other? So this is taken from the, so that's concerning what is most of the tayyat that mention Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi. So that's someone is established, and that's what the Prophet taught the companions. But then in some narration, as mentioned by Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, that in Bukhari, fi Bukhari, Abu Awana, then he mentioned that in certain other books of hadith mentioned من طرق متعددة إلى أبي نعيم شيخ البخاري فيه لفظ لما قبض قلنا. So when Islam died, قلنا السلام على النبي, السلام على النبي. So rather than saying Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, then he said after Islam died, he started Assalamu alayka, Assalamu ala nabi. So can somebody add that change? And As-Subki mentioned in Sharaf Minhaj, one of the books of the Shafi'iyah, they have a discussion regarding that Abu Awana mentioned this statement, وَصَحَ آذَا, and the Sahaba, that it was mentioned by some of the companions, so they can somewhat add that change, that he saw that it was preferred, or some of the companions that it's the wording to be changed while he was alive, and after his death. So they would say this. Then he mentioned that in general concerning Abdul Razak, of those who kind of someone mentioned this regarding that of the companions who still stick to what was normally originally taught and applied, which was Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi. Even though some companions, so Umar bin Khattab, even when he was after Prophet Islam death, and he mentioned this, taught the people this at-tayyat upon a minbar, he stick to the old wordings regarding Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, and didn't per se use Assalamu ala nabi, as mentioned by some. So that's something was done by some of the companions, but also you had other companions who stick to what was taught originally. The discussion more concerning the West, as we mentioned all the time, become an era of discussion based upon the book of Sifatul Salat, where Sheikh Albani, he mentioned more so that the person should say Assalamu ala nabi. Isn't that the case? Is that the case? Sifatul Salat, he can somewhat mention this masala. So it is mentioned and highlighted in Sifatul Salat, which of the wording to be said, the old or the new one, regarding that matter. But in general concern that, Akthar ulama, that it remain Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi. Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, that still remain even while he was alive and after his Islam death.
So that's the original one.
And that's the original. So it is still, and then go back to, and anything that was done by each of the companions is the next matter regarding the ulama. They put it in certain contexts regarding that what the Prophet taught, regarding what is to be said, it is something which is tawqifiyya, which is something which is to be followed and not to be changed. Yes, some of the companions made ijtihad in changing certain things, but there are other companions who still saw that this the original thing is to be continue and to be said. And after Umar al-Khattab, so it remained at that with a person say it then, yes, because some companions did it, then you said, okay, la bas. If someone was to do, say, the new one, then we said, no, la bas. But to the old one, then is preferred to be done. But if the person was to change and say the second one, then la bas, then no problem, because it was established by some companions. But it's not something that's abrogated. It wouldn't be classed as abrogated type of thing. But so that's concerning that particular matter. So the person still sticks to the old saying based upon a hadith that regarding what is to be said in the tashahhud. Some ziyada also mentioned regarding saying at-tasmiya qabla tashahhud, meaning at-tayyat. But there's all of them is daif, weak narration. The person say tasmiya bismillah before they go into at-tayyat, but all those narrations are daif and not to be done. Not to be done. First matter concerning the tashahhud, they mention next matter regarding at the end they mentioned okay, the next hadith. So to the first hadith of Ibn Mas'ud, he mentioned at the end of it concerning أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ثم ليخير من دعاء أعجبه إليك أو إليه فيدعو, that the person that's in the person choose which of the dua that they think is most suitable and they should supplicate with this. So choose whatever dua that you think is suitable and you supplicate with this. They mentioned regarding this particular matter that based upon the hadith that it seems as if this supplication that is to be said after at-tayyat. With me? So the supplication that is being mentioned based upon the hadith that you should choose thumma, they mention thumma liyukhayyar, that a person is to choose which supplication you wish to choose. It seems as if it comes immediately after at-tayyat, but in reality that's not the case. In reality that's not the case. So that dua, it comes at the end. So the Umar discussed when is this dua is to be said, meaning you making your own personal supplication at the end of as a part of the tashahhud. This supplication that you can make on your own, one the person can do concerning things concerning ad-dunya wal akhirah. So anything that have good and benefit, the person can say this particular supplication. But as for the mahal, when it wait is to be said, this place that is to be said, it will come later on in the salat, later on in the tashahhud, not immediately after at-tayyat. Not immediately after at-tayyat. So that's concerning those masahil that relates to that particular matter.
Which one comes after at the end, you said? Which one comes at the end?
Your own personal supplication based upon the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud.
It comes after the...
it seems as if it will come in sequence, in order. It will come right and thumma. It seems as if it will come after at-tayyat.
Okay. Your own personal supplication.
Your own personal supplication. So I mentioned you can choose whichever dua that you wish and supplicate for it. But it seems to come right after at-tayyat, but in reality it comes later on.
Okay.
You understand? But from the hadith, what seems apparent from the hadith, it will come straight after at-tayyat. But in reality it comes later.
So the wordings of the personal supplication, is it from the sunnah or your own?
You have supplication that comes at the end of the salat. Some of them that the Prophet can somewhat a certain particular supplication that he would mention.
Yeah.
And some that you can do it also on your own accord, according to what you understand you wish to supplicate for. Some of the ulama prefer the person stick to those one which is mentioned by way of the athar, by way of hadith. But you still are allowed, you're still allowed that you can do those one which is on your own accord, your own personal supplication.
So the hadith narrated by Ibn Mas'ud is it appears that you could say it after that at-tayyatu. But that's not.
But in reality it comes later on, not at that particular. It doesn't come immediately after at-tayyat.
Sure.
Then I mentioned this is al-fa'ida, as a general fa'ida, that there's various places in the salat that supplications are said. Either those supplications are things that are fixed supplication that are said, or thing which is open, meaning you can do your own, make your own supplication. So they mentioned there's places that supplications are somewhat 6 places in the salat that supplications are said. They said dua. One after takbir al-ihram. So after then you have a particular supplication that is said. Nam. Also, we mention Allahumma bahi bayni wa bayna khataya. So that's a supplication that said after you say Allahu Akbar, you don't go straight into Fatiha. Now you said a supplication, that different supplication that will be said at that point. I've said Allahu Akbar, and before going to Fatiha, you have different supplication that can be said. So that's at one point. Another one they mention in ruku. So you go into ruku after you said what needs to be said. Then there's supplication, but those supplications are more fixed, not per se that you supplicate by way of the Quran. Nam. Then it mentions a third place when you come up from i'tidal, when you go back to the standing position. Nam. Then you can say what is to be said. Then you have other supplication, additional supplication that can be said at that particular point. The fourth, in sujood. So in sujood you say what is to be said first, the wajibat concerning what is to be said. Then after you can have other supplication, even your own supplication. That's the fourth. Khamis, between the sajdataini, or between sajdataini when you come back, between sajdataini you said a supplication to be said during that particular time or fixed. Then also the sixth being after tashahhud. At the end of the tashahhud, you also can say of those supplication that can be said.
All of these supplications you say on your own accord?
No, some are fixed and some on your own.
Yeah, the ones which we can say on our own, they need to be in Arabic, isn't it?
A discussion between ulama regarding those supplication. The one that the person is using by way of the sunnah, then say them is Arabic. But the one on your personal own supplication, you're asking for your own things, your own concern, then those can be said in your own language, whatever language. Can be done outside Lughat Arabiya. Nam.
What's the dalil for that?
And there's nothing, because they are personal, there's nothing that fixes you to Arabiya regarding your supplication. There's nothing fixed regarding ad-dua and the khitab in general, and the Prophet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're those who speak other than Arabic.
Okay.
Nam. So the one that is fixed to Arabic are those one that we have been instructed to say. Anything outside that, then you're on your own. Regarding your own personal cases, or personal that the person can say it in his own language. And Ibn Uthaymin and those have mentioned that. So that's concerning those masahil that relates to at-tayyat. Now, so we'll go to the next to the hadith that is mentioned here by the author, rahimahullah.
Train, quarter to, 5 to,
9.
10 past 9.
Hey, just 8:30 now.
Okay, what do you want to do?
What's the second one?
You got quarter to, 8:53 or 9:09.
9:09.
You want that one, yeah?
Hey, after 9.
Inshallah, no problem.
You want to go to the next hadith?
Say again.
248.
248. Narrated, Fadala bin
Now, sometimes Ibn Hajar rahimahullah that he mentioned concerning at-tayyat, the hadith, and then before, after he mentioned hadith concerning moving of the finger or pointing. Now, maybe the order could have been mentioned at-tayyat first, and then mention the hadith that mentioned about the finger moving. Now, because the finger usually attached to at-tayyat.
Yeah.
Now, but he brought it first. Now, then bring at-tayyat after. But Allahu Alam, but as tayyat, move the finger is usually attached with the at-tayyat. So maybe Allahu Alam bringing that one, this one earlier. But after thinking that some what is mentioned, remarks regarding the book that sometimes concern the tartib generally is very good, that Ibn Hajar rahimahullah is very good. Now, but you have some cases where this could have been done this way or that way, or this hadith could have proceeded this one. So you have some other few cases like those, but the general tartib is somewhat very good. And it should concern the amal that any human being always is something that you can understand. But not in the sense of picking to criticize the state. Yes, and you have you can say criticize. You have constructive criticism, and you have criticism just to destroy, and can somewhat to discredit a person.
Yeah, the critique is not aimed to discredit.
Says no. You understand? So though something is not wrong with that. You understand? Consider ilmiya, positive criticism. Can somewhat understand? Those things are good and beneficial. You understand? And can be used and can be said. But the criticism that comes just out of it has no place. Just can somebody just want to destroy. Nam, then that is something is a different thing. Anyway, leave that one. I want to say I'll leave that for next day. Bismillah, continue.
Narrated Fadala bin Ubayd radiallahu anhu. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam had a man supplicating during his prayer. He did not praise Allah, nor did he invoke blessing on the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, he made haste. He then called him and said, when any of you prays, he should begin with the glorification of his Rabb, Lord, and praise him. He should then invoke blessing on the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Thereafter, he should supplicate Allah for anything he wishes. Ahmad and Al-Thalatha reported it. At-Tirmidhi bin Hibban and Al-Hakim agreed with it as Sahih, authentic.
And the hadith that comes after?
Narrated Abu Mas'ud Ansari.
Okay, wait, okay, we'll just do this one first. So somewhat straightforward. So after this hadith, they kind of somewhat. Like concerning that this particular hadith here is discussed concerning this hadith concerning of Fadala ibn Ubayd, that the Prophet kind of somewhat رجل يدعو في صلاته, so the person was kind of supplicating in salat. ثم ولم يمجد Allah, and the person didn't per se praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he can someone then ولم يصلي على النبي عليه السلام, then he didn't also pray upon the Prophet عليه السلام. Then he mentioned فقال, then he told the person some adab concerning a dua. So this particular hadith, as some of the ulama mentioned, we discussed this, concerning that this particular hadith is discussed some of the adab, some of the mannerism and etiquette that a person should take into account in supplicating even in the salat. So even making your own personal supplication, now your supplication, that is certain general adab that you should also be mindful of. Because he mentioned before the hadith concerning that you should supplicate. So kind of somewhat to back it up, he brings this hadith kind of somewhat of the things kind of somewhat to considered when supplication, even inside the salat, that you kind of somewhat also kind of somewhat for this guy concerned. No, you praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, send the salutation upon the Prophet Islam, and the lies of the Prophet Islam, criticize the person for not doing those things. So there are general adab that even still the person, if he's able, can uphold them in the salat, then something that he should do. And most of the supplications that says Allahumma, the praise of glorifying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the person can somewhat still try to stick to some of those things regarding even the salat of taking adab dua when he's able. So that's concerning that particular matter. So what is that? We'll go to the hadith that comes after. Even though I mentioned that this adab in the dua, this adab concerning dua and the salat, is not something which is wajib, but something mustahab to be done. So the person doesn't do it, doesn't mean salat is invalid. So the general concern is, the general guideline regarding when the person wishes to supplicate, first thing kind of someone to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then also send a salutation upon the Prophet ﷺ, and then go into his supplication. Aywa.
Narrated Abu Mas'ud Al-Ansari radiallahu anhu, Bashir bin Sa'ad said, Allah has commanded us to invoke blessings on you, O Messenger of Allah. But how should we bless you? Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam kept quiet a while and then said, say, O Allah, bless Muhammad and the members of his family as you have blessed Ibrahim, and grant favors to Muhammad and the members of his family as you have granted favors to Ibrahim. In the words you are indeed praiseworthy and glorious, and the taslim is as you know, reported by Muslims. Ibn Khuzaymah added to it, how should we invoke blessings on you whenever we invoke blessings on you in our prayers?
Yes, this hadith also concerned that what is referred concerning also concern those things that relate to the tashahhud, of those things that relate to the part of the tashahhud is also of those things to be said concerning what the person considered Salatul Ibrahim, that's referred to as Salatul Ibrahim regarding a part of the tashahhud. So of this matter, that regarding that they discuss so concerning this particular hadith is regarding of the matters relate to the salat, and more so regarding in the position of tashahhud, the person saying this as Salatul Ibrahim. So as we mentioned that after At-Tahiyyat, then as Salatul Ibrahim will come in. Salatul Ibrahim will come after this. And the hadith here is authentic, narrated by Imam Muslim rahimahullah. As for this particular, that I mentioned concerning what is said by Ibn Khuzaymah rahimahullah, كيف نصلي عليك, that we are supposed to supplicate upon your Prophet Islam, إذا نحن صلينا عليك في صلاتنا, concerning when we're in the salat, I will supplicate for you. Then he mentioned the hadith. So I can give the backdrop regarding this particular hadith. That's the backdrop regarding this particular hadith. And this hadith concerning Abi Mas'ud. So you have Ibn Mas'ud and you have Abu Mas'ud. So there's two different persons. Ibn Mas'ud wa Abu Mas'ud. And sometimes people get mixed up with both. Sometimes they get mixed up. Ibn Hajar in some of the early hadiths in the book that, or not Ibn, or some in the Bulugu Maraam, some of the print, where it have some hadith of Abi Mas'ud and mention Ibn Mas'ud. Nam. So as for this particular hadith is concerning that, discussed concerning, as referred to as Salat al-Ibrahim, as a part of the Tashahhud. And this particular part of the Tashahhud is mentioned in the last rak'ah, a part of what is mentioned in the last rak'ah. So of the first thing that they cover or discuss concerning this particular supplication, Salat al-Ibrahim, was the hukum regarding it being said, which is sending the salutation upon the Prophet Islam and also Ibrahim. What's the rukun, the ruling regarding this act in the salat? What's the ruling regarding this particular act, saying this particular part in the salat? The ulama on this, they have three aqwal. The first view, that saying this bit of the tashahhud, that is something which is a rukun min arkanus salat. It's a rukun min arkanus salat. Meaning that if it is not done, the person's salat is not valid. Whether a person missed it intentionally or unintentionally. Because it's a rukun, so the rukun of the salat, if it is missed intentionally or unintentionally, it doesn't matter. The fact that it's not there, your salat is not valid. That's of the thing that applies to the arkan of the salat.
So is it muttafaqun alayh?
La. I said there's three aqwal. Okay. So this is one of the views. So the first view, that is rukun min arkan salat. That view is taken by Imam Shafi rahimahullah, and a narration of Imam Ahmed. That's the view taken by Imam Al-Shafi and also Imam Ahmed rahimahullah. And I mentioned until the Prophet that he commanded regarding the companions in these hadith, someone to send the salutation upon the Prophet Islam, regarding the first hadith of Fadala and also this hadith of Ibn Mas'ud. Why sometimes they are put together regarding it, emphasize send the salutation upon the Prophet Islam. The second view, that concerning that it is of the wajib, act of the salat. It is wajib to say salat biduniha ma asahu. That it is, if it is missed, the person's salat is still valid, but he has to do sujood sahu. So we can class as a wajib act of the salat. That is the view that is taken by Imam Ahmed in another narration upon Imam Ahmed, and also Ishaq ibn Rahuya and Ahmed al-Hanbal. Their views on fiqh related matters are usually very close. Their names are usually mentioned together in most masail. Ishaq ibn Rahuya. See how some say Rahaway, but the Muhaddith said Rahuya. And we are upon the way of the Muhaddith, and the book is a book of hadith. Nam, as
you're going to give the reason?
The Muhaddith, they all concerning Rahway is of the names of Shaitan. So, but the Luga, they said Sibaway, Rahaway. Nam, based upon certain, they said now phonics according to them, but they usually use the word way more concerning according to the people, the linguistic. Nam, Sibaway, Rahaway, and the likes. But the Muhaddith prefer to use Huya. Nam, but ما في مشكلة in that matter, nada, life and that matter. So that's the second view. The third view,
Imam Ahmed has both views.
And have both views. And that's the thing we said about Ahmed al-Hanbal rahimahullah. Sometime in one masla, you have many views from compared to others imma.
What was his first view?
And the first view, that is that rukun min arkan al-salat.
Okay.
So you take the first view.
He changed.
No, not so that he changed, but sometimes Ahmed, he has more than one view. Yeah. That's yeah. You have some reason, but the general thing that in some masail you find that you have more than one views. And the third view of the three, the third of the three view is istihbab. There's something which is mustahab to be done. Meaning that is a sunnah act of the salat. Meaning concerning the person, sunnah act concerning, if the person was not to do it, it have no impact upon his salat. It doesn't change anything. It have less, he have thus khilaf al-awla. He have left off something which is better to have been done. Naam, so you have left off according to them. So if his salat, he doesn't need to do sujood sahu. Naam, but his salat in all cases will be still acceptable. But the reward will be less. The reward will be less. And that's the view taken by Jumhur of the ulama. Concerning Salatul Ibrahim, Jumhur of the ulama, majority of the ulama, take the view that it's something which is mustahab, preferred to be done. If it is not done, then less of reward, but the salat is still valid in all cases. Of those who are in of that view of the ai that are known, Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, Imam Malik. So Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, another narration and and Ahmed and Ishaq. So Ishaq, Rahuya, and Ahmed al-Hanbal, they have another narration that they are of this view, the third view. So Ahmed have three views. Ahmed have three views.
Can you open the window a bit? I don't know if it's me, it's kind of hot.
Also others, Dawood al-Zahiri and Ibn Jarir al-Tabari. Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, al-Mufassir, as also Faqih wal Muhaddith. So Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, that's one of the tafsir. Naam, al-Ma'thura. He's also one of those ulama at his own independent, separate madhab as Abu Hanifa, Malik and Shafi. But his student eventually somewhat died out with less followers. So if you have other people of different madhahib, some of them somewhat lived on, of the four that lived on, the Zahiriya somewhat lived on, but you have others that somewhat died out. And due to sometimes lack of students, and sometimes the one that survived, due to that madhab, those scholars that attached to it, they were the people, the judges. So it survived. They have come to that position in the state. So it somewhat it survived. And so we have those who somewhat eventually died out. So those are the views that are there regarding this particular masala.
So what's the evidence for Imam Ahmed and others that it is a rukn of the prayer as compared to the others?
They use all the hadith that we have mentioned based upon the wording.
The hadith we just read, it doesn't specify anywhere that it is compulsory. And it's not even mentioning the Salah in this hadith. The hadith says that Abu Masud, he's the narrator, and he says, he doesn't say Allah has commanded you to invoke blessings on you in the Salah, but he just says blessings on you, O Messenger of Allah.
We do the narration of Ibn Khuzaymah,
which is
at the end.
Yeah, says about the prayer.
So it narrates the Salat.
Okay. How should we invoke blessings on you whenever we invoke blessings on you in our prayers?
So that's concerned. So it shows concern in this particular. So that addition for me, that give the backdrop behind this particular hadith that we mentioned from the start. That the narration of Ibn Khuzaymah somewhat it tells us concerns that this is related to the salat, and the backdrop behind this particular narration. So it's related to the salat, and even the one concerned the hadith of Fadala one before, even though concerned give us the adab of say dua, but also somewhat it highlights regarding sending the salutation upon the Prophet in the salat as the hadith, the wording. So based upon the hadith, ulama look at other hadith, but these are the main ones regarding that the Prophet he criticized first the concerned hadith of Fadala, criticized that person who didn't send the salat upon him. So the person was somewhat criticized for this. I mentioned that the person is being hasty regarding his salat. So the Prophet criticizing a person and pointing out to do certain things that indicate that something has some meaning, and you even know something which is important. Then the Prophet somewhat outline to the person the thing to be said. Then I mentioned that if the Prophet saw someone doing something that was incorrect, it become wajib upon him to correct him.
Okay.
You understand? He wouldn't remain silent on something which was not important, and to correct that person. So correcting the person, said the person that Musir Salat, the person prayed and the Prophet corrected him. So he correct people. So Imam Islam regarding correcting people, they do something it either thing is some type, then it shows that that's some that, but it will either thing is something that you need to do or something of importance. Now, then also the second hadith mentioned concerning that they mentioned Amarana, that we were commanded. Now, in the hadith of Abi Mas'ud, it mentioned Ya Rasulullah, mentioned concerning that Qala Bashir even said Ya Rasulullah, Amarana Allah an nusalli alayk, that what we commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to pray upon you, فَكَيْفَ نُصَلِّ عَلَيْكَ. So he mentioned that it was something like a command, how to fulfill this command, how to go about fulfilling a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet went on to give him the wording as to what to be said. The wording as to what to be said. They mentioned qulu. They mentioned qulu is like fi'l al-amr or masdar. So they mentioned a qulu indicating something, a must to be done. So sometimes the rulings is taken from the wordings of the hadith, meaning concerning that, fi'l al-amr and all those type of things which go back to usul al-istidlal. So that's how they come to their different conclusion. To say it is wajib, they use the actual wording. We have been commanded. The Prophet criticized that person, says it becomes an arkan of the salat. Now, those it is wajib, that they mention that it is wajib. The Prophet says it's a command to be done, but this part of the hadith wasn't mentioned in the hadith of Musir Salat. Remember the person that was started out concerning a person who made errors in Salat. The Prophet says no, that if you pray you should undo certain such things. He didn't mention this bit. So he says no, that the hadith of Musir Salat are like the arkan of the Salat. As for the wajibat, were not mentioned. But this shows that it's wajib because the Prophet instructed people to do it. But it's not to the degree of being an arkan of the Salat. Then also it is wajib, that it is sunnah. Then they mention that, so they come back to use from the linguistic meaning. So you have different people using different rules regarding how they come to their conclusion. Which go back to the arkan concerning, go back to the skill of ilm al-usul al-fiqh. But those are aqwal of the ulama regarding how they come to their conclusions.
And Sheikh, one other thing, the sequence of reciting this after the tahiyya,
Aywa.
how is that, what's that based on?
Based on what said now, going concerning all the hadith that relates to, in this particular case, concerning tashahhud. When in the sitting position. Now, what's at the end, what's the order in which the Prophet Islam taught us, then that's the order that's been agreed upon. But even though some hadith may not per se, this is first and this is second, but by observing how Islam actually did things from start to end, then we find that order and was somewhat consistently used. So that becomes the system and the pattern to be followed.
Is there different wordings for Salat al-Ibrahim? Is that the only wording, or is there more?
Yeah, some different wording, some different wording regarding some of them. But that's maybe he mentioned a more authentic one that's inside Muslim.
This one, the one you mentioned?
That's the one that is mentioned here. Sometimes in the book, sometimes Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, sometimes use may mention one or two hadith on a particular topic. We might find other narrations or other hadith, but just get someone give the more authentic ones.
Yeah.
So that's concerning aqwal regarding that particular matter. That the author here more concerned that the view regarding this more, that those concerned more that it is wajib to be done, not per se arkan of the salat. So that's concerning and so mentioned the sunnah where the companions asked the Prophet ﷺ, and he kind of somewhat went on to explain rather than him just instructing them as to what to be done. So sometimes they would say that something in the message, might command us, but the command came by way of someone asking a question. So they said, no, that may, even though it's a command, not taken as something which is wajib but more mustahab. Because it was the Imam Islam who was going to somewhat bring to their attention. But it came to their attention by them questioning and then him giving an answer. Now, but something that he himself was from just instructing them. Now, then he can somewhat raise the status of that act rather than by way of a question and in giving an answer, they can somewhat put it in a category of sometimes being something which is mustahab, not to the level of wajib. So you have that discussion. The author here kind of somewhat owe that more of the video to something which is mustahab to be done. The author of our book, Fat Al-Alam, the Mashaykh from Yemen, that more kind of is after the third view, is more in line with the third view. But for sure it's not of the arkan of the salat, that's of a greater level. It's in between mustahab or wujub. But of being of mustahab, more seems in line. More seems in line. And after the next masala regarding this, that this particular part of the tashahhud, that is more so for the last tashahhud. So in the first, if the salat consists of more than one, the first one, if it consists of two tashahhudan, then it will not be said in the first. It will only be said in the last tashahhud. And that's the view of majority of the ulama, that's the view of majority of the ulama. Some of the ulama, like Shafi rahimah, all it to be said also in the first. But as the hadith is general, he didn't specify whether it is to be said in the first and the last, so you take it to be applied to both case. But majority of the ulama, but most of the hadith can somewhat, as other narration mentioned, can somewhat restricted to the first. Most of the hadith can restricted, and some other narration in the Abi Awana restricted to the first, and not to the restricted to the last, not to the first. Sorry, restricted to the last, not to the first. Anyway, so that's concerning that particular masala.
But there's no hadith which specifies if it's the first or the last.
We said there's another narration in the Abi Awana. There's another book in hadith. So you have Kutubu Sita, which is well known. But you have, for example, Abu Awana, that he has a book that in about a large volume where he discussed hadith that was missed by Muslim, but he owed that was on the conditional side Muslim. So another collection of hadith that are not popular but known. Abu Awana in his Mustaq Abu Awana, and he mentioned narration that can somewhat specify it is for the last one.
Okay.
Nam. The next set of rounds of hadith, aywa. Okay, won't read that one. And the next set of hadith that he mentions, aywa, nakra.
Number 250.
250, yes.
Narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, when one of you finishes the last tashahhud, he should seek refuge in Allah from four things by saying, O Allah, I seek refuge in you against the punishment of Jahannam, the punishment of the grave, the trial of life and death, and the evil of the trial of Masih ad-Dajjal, agreed upon.
Hey, now there's some points regarding the hadith of the tashahhud of Salat al-Ibrahim that just kind of somewhat the different explanation of this book, you have different approach. Now, the one Fat al-Alam that we are using, that he mainly discussed concerning the masail, right? This masala. Other approaches that they will discuss also fawahid, and explain, understand, they'll give some certain benefits concerning hadith. He doesn't go into benefits, like certain lessons that can be learned. You understand? He doesn't really go into those masail or those matters, but others will. So each book, we said no, each book has its benefit, depending on the approach of the author. So another explanation that they go into certain other masail or certain other sawaid, some benefits, lessons to be learned. Now, of the things they mention of those lessons regarding this particular.
Sorry, please explanation is this one?
With me, something different one. This one called Qannas. This is called Rawdat al-Afham, Shar Bulugu Maraam. This is one from someone from Riyadh, and it's incomplete.
Oh, okay.
It's one incomplete. But the benefit that I mentioned with this other benefit concerning a matter, I think concerning mentioned Ali Muhammad. So they have discussed concerning the meaning of the hadith. And I did mention of the benefit they mention who's intended by Ali Muhammad, who's intended by concerning Ali Muhammad. So discuss concerning those masail But after the thing that they mentioned, a general thing concerning discussing Salat Ibrahim, also of that thing, it can somewhat, they use it as a proof regarding that. You find some people have gone overboard regarding either the Prophet ﷺ, people have gone overboard regarding Ali Muhammad, depending on how they interpret who's Ali Muhammad, who's the Prophet ﷺ, his followers or his family. Now, some restricted to Ali and his lot, or Ali and those of his family. Now, but Ali Sunnah, and to the extent that when I mention, for example, Ali, they say, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honor his face. Now, and that's concerning become of the Ashiyar of the Ashia, Al-Rafida. That there are particular statements or supplication, things will be said regarding Ali, to the extent that in the adhan, they will mention Ali, they will throw Ali in one way or another. So because they go overboard regarding Ali, any occasion or situation they can find, they are somewhat to praise Ali, they'll use it. Now, and they'll put them even in the adhan, in the shahada, now, they'll throw it in, and various things. Now, which is ghulu. That's a type of ghulu from them. So I said, no, so sometimes, they go overboard regarding this matter. And also the Prophet Islam family, sometimes people go overboard. So a person might say, I'm from the Prophet Islam family line. It's something of honor. But it doesn't make you of more right to certain things than everyone else. It makes you a better person because you're just attached to that family. It's by your deeds that makes you a better person. Yes, to have some benefit and to be honored by being from the Prophet Islam ancestors is good. As a family name, an honored family to us as Muslim. But it doesn't make you everyone. But at the end of the day, is your deeds that will be the things to actually save you, not just a name. Now, so Ahl Sunnah acknowledge that the Prophet Islam family is to be honored, but in a way which is outlined by the Sharia. Not go overboard regarding them, not one particular person over other, as some may do. And also, it highlight also regarding that matter regarding that people concerning our admiration for people sometimes can get out of hand. With me? Now, so with this matter regarding the Prophet, so sometimes it go out of hand and go to extreme regarding individuals. And sometimes it occurs concerning the Prophet Islam, where sometimes go to Medina. Now, so you have a discussion regarding the Prophet Islam, regarding Medina called Al-Madinah Al-Nabawiyya or Medina Al-Munawwara. With me?
Yep.
Which of those words is the best word to be used? Al-Madinah Al-Nabawiyya or Medina Al-Munawwara? Munawwara concerning from nur, from light.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing that I've seen from this, sometimes they'll say, some people will never use the word Al-Munawwara. Nam? Because they said, no, it's a Sufi-like terminology. Nam? Type of thing. Shaykh Muhsin Abad, in refuting about refutation of someone that he wrote, and he discussed this masala. He said the person accused concerning that the Wahhabis, they don't like to use the word Al-Munawwara, and they like to use Al-Nabawiyya. So Shaykh Muhsin said, no, in fact, there's no hadith certain proofs that are saying Munawwara or saying Nabawiyya. So there's no long discussion about which is more preferred, or which you can stand. There's not from the Sunnah to say this one is better than this one. Now, depending on how you perceive things.
How did the companions of Messenger, how did they describe Medina?
There's nothing clear regarding, you understand? They said at Tayyiba Medina, but concerning these more latter day, these are more latter day terms. You understand? So to say this one or that one, you understand? For example, when a sheikh who have come here from Kuwait without mentioning the name, you understand? That he can somewhat came on some of brothers for saying Al-Madina Al-Munawwara, came down on them somewhat. You understand? But in reality, okay, Sufi basis, if you want to say that, but there's nothing by way of hadithiyah to say this one over that one. With me? So that matter may go back to, you understand, not too harsh on others, you understand, if you know the person of Sunnah, if you use in that context. With me? But then, so my family, if you go to Medina, on the Prophet Islam grave, when they walk up the masjid, they walk, and they always face, they walk they wouldn't turn their back to the Prophet's grave. That's going to excess. That's going overboard. Then also you have ashkhas, rijal salihin, and the one concerning mashayikh and people who people believe to be righteous. Now, amongst Ahl Sunnah years ago, we were all against this, going, and even books written about this. But the mashayikh, who's Sheikh Mohammed Al from Senegal, his PhD or one of his thesis, either doctorate or PhD thesis, or one of those theses that he did, was on that topic. Because he's from an area now where Sufi is hardcore. So he discussed concerning Taqdees al-Ashkhas.
He's still alive?
Huh?
He's still alive?
He's still alive, yeah, have a university and all that in his country. But ala kulli hal, he can somewhat discuss that topic, how people go overboard. Now, regarding how you look at and admire individuals, and we find that there's a second embedded in the Sufi approach. Then, as they say, I'm not going to use the word, but I said it have creeped in after discuss, and that theater was like a masterpiece, if you want to use that word, in discussing that topic. Then guess what? The whole people of Sunnah, even people who attribute to Salafiyah, fell into it.
Yeah, most definitely.
Stop.
Hey, we have to.
No.
Now, and that's the problem that we face today. Sometimes we know, but sometimes creep into our ranks and we even don't notice it.